Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 667. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Fonsad,
Ahoy!
and Tony Korkanakis.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. Live on Twitch, Tuesday night starting at 8 o'clock. Please join us live. It's a lot of fun. We'll have conversations, ask us questions. Always ask them over on YouTube, too, if you're watching this recorded, because we go over there the next day for the all time, actually. Twitch only keeps it for a week. YouTube keeps it for, as far as we know, forever. I hold that right. That may change. It's Google's prerogative. But right now, all that stuff's over there. So please subscribe to both channels to let you know when we go live or when we post the latest and greatest. So this is the Gamecast, folks. This is 667. It is October 3rd. It has been a crazy year for games. It has been, we were just chatting before the podcast started streaming this episode. So guys, you want me to kick it off then? I mean, I'm trying not to I've talked so much about Baldur's Gate that I'm trying not to go too much into it like crazy, but I did finish the game. I've beaten Baldur's Gate.
Congrats.
It is 53 hours was my playtime, so that was not bad. Thank you. I did not do obviously everything in that time, but I'm going to try to not. It's not really spoiler-esque because it's your own adventure. But the finale for me is such an amazing story. I thought I would share it with you all here. This game is so amazing that as I was playing the finale, I was talking about it on Discord, and I was even saying how crazy difficult it was for me. The combat clicked. I mentioned this last week. The combat really clicked for me in Act 3, where I was like, okay, defeating the boss in Act 2 gives you enough equipment where you're like, I'm starting to get a little more powerful now, and I'm starting to understand the combinations that work best for my team. And the problem that I was running into was the configuration of my team didn't always match for what I needed on these fights. And I only knew one style. So what do I do? And I ended up just playing the game the way I want. Like basically saying, okay, well, if I can't fight all these guys, what can I do to not do this? So that's what carried on with me throughout the ending playthrough, which is very epic scale, to the point where when I get to the final boss, it was funny because when I got to the final boss, one of my characters had a conversation with me before you go to fight the final boss, and you know you're going there because the game warns you. And he's like, "Oh, we're going up, we're gonna fight him." And on the dialogue options, one of the options was, "Hey, you could go end this right now. Why don't you go do that?" Basically, one of the characters has an ability that can just basically blow up everything in the area. If you're everything, like I've done it accidentally in combat. I've clicked on the ability and I've killed myself. You kill the entire team, it destroys everything, and the game's over. So the game has ended for me a few times because of this ability. So there's an option. I saw it there, but I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna try to save the world. And I was fighting the last boss, and there are so many counterspell guys in that area. There are so many things. I was getting like steamrolled. It was. Even when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my blitz motion where I'm like, I'm gonna get to the guy to fight the boss and kind of ignore the other underlings, and it didn't work. Like it didn't work. I was probably playing this ending for like 2 days. So finally, I'm like, you know what? For the better of the world, I'm taking this option. I'm gonna talk to this guy and tell him, you should go on up there. You should go up there and take care of this. So I made that choice. This next load, and it makes you make a dice roll to pass, and it's a 30 on the roll. It's a 20-sided dice, so you can't roll a 30. The only way to get it is to do a natural 20, because then the dungeon master, which is behind the scenes, they have to give you it. That's the rules in D&D. For those who aren't aware of D&D, how D&D works, if you throw a natural 20, the DM usually is like, okay, you get extra shit because you threw a natural 20, so it's a bonus.
Yeah.
So like any checks, if you throw a natural 20, you've got it. So I'm like, so as I was telling him, no, you should go on up there and kill yourself, and we'll just sit down here and we're all good. And he's like, whoa, I can't do that. What are you talking about? And then I'm gonna roll the die here. I'm just to see what happens. I rolled a natural 20 on the. I did not save scrub. I swear to God, it was the first time I did it. I rolled a natural 20, and I was like, it was the most, for anybody that knows me, how I roll D20s. I roll ones like crazy, and it's well known between my friends groups. So to roll a natural 20 to save the world was just unbelievable. And yeah, I rolled it and I sent him up to his death. It was an amazing finale. Um, Gave the character a great send off. My group ended the exact same way I would like it to do. I'm sure I didn't get the best ending, but it was the ending I always wanted anyways. It felt like a regular movie ending for me. Like it felt like, here's your group that got on together. What do you expect's going to happen? For me, it happened the way I wanted to go. I'm trying to keep it vague here. I'm not going to give you my whole ending, but it was so good. I mean, the thing for me is that every single thing that happened, unlike Mass Effect 3, every single thing that happened for me in this happened the way I wanted it to go. It felt like every single thing I did and
had
told
like a
these characters,
payoff basically.
yeah, every single thing I told these characters, they brought it up in the ending, and they're like, well, I'm gonna go over here because you said this, and obviously we don't need this anymore. And
But
I
not the
even said that one
tieflings
guy,
because they weren't
yeah,
around.
yeah, well, they were dead.
And the druids,
There was
they
no
were dead
tiefling.
too.
There were no tieflings. There were no druids in my ending, by the way. The druids, the tieflings were alive because they killed them. They killed the druids. There were no druids in my ending.
I
Probably,
thought. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, they rose up against the druids. So there are no druids in my entire playthrough. So yeah, but it was an unbelievable finale for me.
So
Everything
no
clicked
hot
perfectly.
bear sex for you, huh?
No druid sex. In fact, the only druid that lived was the one that I rescued. He left my group and I left for Act 3 because I'm like, he wanted help
He's
to
like, oh,
restore.
I need to go
Yeah,
back to that town. You're like,
he's like,
good luck.
yeah, he wanted to go back to the town. Yeah, and the town was dead. By the way, I watched the town when I chose what I did in Act 2. The choices I made, you get notifications that you get to see things fall. Like that, you obviously you're not supposed to know this, but you
Yeah, yeah.
see it in the video. You're like, well, they're all dead. And so he's like, I'm gonna go back and try to save. And I'm like, go ahead, buddy. You go ahead. So he
You
left
do
my group.
you.
Yeah. The only thing that hurts is that the finale, you're like, you can bring characters. So just a heads up, you can bring characters with you here. You can beat the game without those characters. Clearly,
Yeah.
I had my band of four, and my band of four was the fucking shit. And I obviously told somebody to go to his death, but it still worked. We're a band of three, really, is what happened. The extra guy was more about
I
I knew what
mean, the
his
greater good, right? The
yeah.
greater
Well,
good.
I knew what he had, and I didn't really like him. He was like my what was the guy from
Dude, I think
Mass
we're
Effect Two?
getting into spoiler talk.
Aiden?
Tatum. Yeah, he was like that for me. I'm not getting
Or
spoilers,
from
but he was
two,
like that
Jacob.
for
Or
me.
Jacob.
No, Jacob. It was Jacob. I sent Jacob to his death
Yeah.
in Mass Effect Two. That's what it was. I didn't like Jacob, so I was like, okay, it's the same thing. So you're in my group, but I'm like, you're not really in my group. So that was it for me. But I'm not getting, like I said, I won't get spoilers because everyone wants to play this. It's fantastic. It's right now. I was telling Tony before we started, like game of the year for me.
Crazy when
And
Zelda came out this year.
it's fresh too. So
Yeah.
this could change when we hit January to do this game of the year stuff. It completely could change. But that's awesome for me. So that's it. That's why I played I played a little bit more Starfield. I will give Mike more credit. The game has some charm to it. I hit some loops now finally where I'm like, okay, it does feel a little bit like the Fallout series in a good way, and but I'm not far enough into give you a full impression. So that's it for me. But Tony, what are you playing?
Yes, I got Cyberpunk and the DLC. So I've been
Woo.
pretty into that. I played like 20 something hours now.
Already nice.
Yeah, which is crazy because like I don't like can't compare it to 1.0 obviously because I didn't fucking play that game. But
You play Witcher? Oh,
no. Well, I played Witcher 1. Like
well,
whatever.
I mean, obviously I meant 3.
Yeah, no. I have it. I like the first time I ever booted it up, it like crashed on me, and some people were like, "Oh, yeah." And I was just like, you know what? I'll get back to this, something like that. But yeah, Cyberpunk isn't great. The everything I've asked a couple friends about, they're like, "Oh yeah, that wasn't in here before," and I was like, "Oh, okay," because I was like, "Oh, this thing is really fun." They're like, "Yeah, that's new," and I'd be like, "Oh, what about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's new too." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So it sounds like anything fun in the game is just brand new. So like currently I'm going for like a hacker tech build where like basically I can just scan enemies and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna poison you. I'm gonna set you on fire, and then I'm gonna malfunction all your cyberware, like all your cyber tech stuff. And it's just awesome because you just see these things fill up, and then just like, because they're just standing around doing nothing, and all of a sudden they start burning and puking, and their electronics are getting fried, and I'm just like, that's weird. How did that happen? You know, and stuff like that. So, that's been really fun so far. And Night City is amazing. Like, I haven't been this engrossed in like one of these
It's
like
amazing.
cities probably since like I don't know, GTA 3 maybe, or Vice City, or San Andreas or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just really fun to just like go around because all the different, in my opinion, all the different areas and districts just have their own like theme and just like nuance to them. It's like I haven't really felt like, oh, this is just copy pasting buildings, like like out the wazoo or anything like that. I'm like, I was in Japantown the other day, and I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And like I find myself just like stopping and just like taking like screenshots or whatever, just literally just enjoying the world, right? Because that's really what I think the strength of this game is just the world building, and the stories and quests so far have been really interesting too. I like how there's multiple ways to deal with that kind of stuff because I'm all about that kind of stuff where it's like this character does blah blah blah, and it's like, oh well, I could backstab this person because he's kind of shitty. So it's like, is backstabbing a shitty person really a bad thing? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel it is, or I feel it isn't. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Due to what I've seen online, people are like, yeah, hit the DLC Phantom Liberty as soon as possible because it unlocks like the newest of new stuff. So I did that as soon as it became available to me, and I gotta say, the other part about this thing I like about the game is the Johnny Silverhands, like the Keanu Reeves character.
Yeah.
So having him and Idris Elba as his character Reed has been fantastic because like those two actors are some of my favorite actors. So it's like having them in the same game is like pretty cool, and just all the dialogue. Like you could tell, like I think Keanu Reeves really loved this role, where it's just like just it didn't feel like he was phoning in it ever to me. Like kind of like with what's his name with Destiny and the robot.
This
Ethan
that's
Fillion?
that's
No,
the Warlock
the
went to
original.
the moon.
Oh,
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Thank you. I was like Tyrion. I was
okay,
like, yeah, I was
Ghost.
like that was
Yeah,
that was such
I was
a
trying to
waste.
think of the moon guy.
That wizard
but-
came from the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what it was.
What the fuck? But yeah, it's been really fun. Obviously, shit has gone. This is like a world I would not want to live in. As much as I did say, like, I appreciate like the landscape and the city and everything like that. Like, there's so much bad shit that happens. I'm like, how do people even make it to adulthood in this? Like, how? Like, it just.
Do they have mini games in it now? Because I remember that it felt very lacking.
No, and that is the one big criticism that I do have, is that other than like doing jobs and gigs, which don't get me wrong, are fun because like they are varied in some of the nuance, it all does come back to like combat stuff, and I really think if they just nailed like something like a Gwent, like a card game, even though it's not for everybody, but like you could have a card game, you could have different gambling things because there's a casino, whatnot. I think if they introduce that in the sequel, because they're not going to work on this game, in any major capacity after this, like that would be the one glaring thing that I think they could shore up for the sequel. There is like just introduced non-combat things, like even just like fucking like you look at like Yakuza games, like some of my favorite things in that Yakuza game is like the side stuff, like
that's like the pinnacle of that. Though.
Right, exactly. This is like I
Yeah,
want them to be like, go play those Yakuza games. Give me a cabaret manager mode for Cyberpunk 2, and stuff like that. That would be the best. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot so far, and kudos, because I know we say this a lot, but kudos to CD Projekt Red for sticking to their guns and doubling down and investing in the game and making sure that it turned out to be a quality product for the DLC, which I know we talked about, but 3 years ago is a long time. It is crazy though, because I literally picked up my PS4 copy that I had for like $10 or whatever like that. And mind, I did wind up just buying it on PC because like it has ray tracing and everything, and I wanted to see it. But the cool feature is it has cross save, so I can play it on my PC, and then like if my brother comes over or whatever, and he wants to like just chill on the couch and watch me play, I can just load up my save on the PlayStation, which I think is pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. Cool. All right, Corey, anything?
just a little bit of Remnant 2 still, but I've mostly been playing poker with my free time. So
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Mike.
I've just been playing more Starfield, and part of me says, oh, I should maybe at least try to download the Cyberpunk thing or play Mortal Kombat, which I bought and looked at for a second.
I'm just
But
like
I
waiting
I
for
can't.
more Spider-Man is really what it's coming down for to me.
But I can't get out of what I'm doing in Starfield. I'm just like stuck in it now forever. Um, lately,
Oh.
just like I think
Hey,
I'm gonna
you're
like
doing the
stop
new.
and like
You're doing
maybe
the new game plus, right? Already?
no, no.
I thought you were.
I'm a
Okay.
little worried to do that. I don't because I have a inkling about what that's all about, and I don't necessarily want to rush to it.
Okay.
Um,
It sounds like you got a lot to do in Starfield
So
now.
there is a lot to do. I thought I was gonna be done for the night and maybe change gears, but that I had
um,
came to a location that was full of contraband, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get somewhere where I can sell this before this hot bullshit
so
before I
what?
lose out on like 10,000 credits.
Yeah. No,
I just got sucked into a whole other thing.
for those wondering, and I've not finished this game. I don't know how this works in the finale. I don't know any spoilers on this game. However, I have heard from people that have finished it that if you do go to New Game Plus, all of your like side quests get reset, factions and stuff. So that's all you have to do that all over again. So
Yeah, that's why I don't want to do it
yeah.
yet.
So but I'm giving a public service announcement. Is what I'm doing here. If you're
There's
thinking
that,
about
and
it,
I
that's
also
kind of
think
huge.
your ships do not carry over as well.
Hmm.
A lot of what I'm investing in my ships still. I'm still got a low-ish level ship. Um, I could have finished the main story a long time ago. He's, I've I've continued, and it finally did something unexpected in the main story. Like finally, like I feel like I'm like 2/3 or 3/4 through. It did something that even mechanically, I thought they would be afraid to do. So I was surprised. Um, but I'm still going back to being my corporate espionage with the Ryusian quest line, and now I'm infiltrating the Crimson Fleet. That's a pirate-like group in another action side quest. And then when you go out to certain places, you're like, oh, I have all these other things to do while I'm in this neck of the woods out here in this system. So it
Does it
just,
feel like it's
I
an
think I have like 80
evolution
hours in already now, and
from Fallout
not close.
and like
Hmm?
their last games? Like, is it
A step up.
improved upon what they've done before, or is it just the same in a different theme?
It's just different. Like
Yeah,
there's like
that's what
I
I've
mentioned
heard.
things.
It's
I
like they
mentioned
had
things
all
that are
this
actually just
time to
worse
make a
than
better
what's
game.
that?
Like it seems like they had all this time to learn from what worked and what didn't work in their Fallout games, and it seems like they didn't really take those lessons to heart and apply them here.
Well, the
From
thing
what I've
is,
heard, I haven't played, so.
it's a different thing. They spent a lot of time with the space stuff, a lot of the the ship stuff, all the stuff that there's like not even any equivalent in any Skyrim or Fallout game, like space, building your ship, um, having these dogfights,
I
basically
mean,
ship
the Fallout
boarding.
equivalent is your base. You know what I mean? You built your base in Fallout 4.
Yeah, you have that too. You have outposts as well. That's a whole
Oh, you
separate
still
thing.
have that. Okay, okay.
Yes, the
I thought
outposts, but they're not quite as intuitive as they were in Fallout 4, which is a step backwards. But I haven't even touched the outposts, honestly. I don't care to do that. You could do that to mine for resources and credits, but there's easier ways to get that stuff,
So the
so there's almost
companions
no
are a
reason to
clear
do it.
setback, though, right? 'Cause I haven't heard one
Oh,
person
the
talk
number
positively about
and
them.
the quality of them. Again, so you can get like 20-ish people to just follow you around,
Right,
but
but
there's
they're just
only like
yeah.
4-ish ones with like quests who are romanceable, and they're not great. They're I almost want to pull up that wish list for the Fallout 4 DLC article that I wrote, like one of the last things when we were writing stuff on the website, because still have a lot of the same wish list things that I wish they would change here, and they're gonna support this game for a while. It said he said like
oh,
5 years, so
that does bring me back to
hopefully
the point.
we do this.
Yeah, I mean, brings me back to the point of for future reference for those watching and listening. We were discussing a new category of an award, uh, the Stuck With It Award.
The
So
comeback player of the
yeah,
year.
we haven't. We're toying with the name, but and it's sad that we have to make this award for our of the year podcasts. But we are discussing it for thanks to Cyberpunk, for instance, has done this great comeback. You know, it's a game that should get something for the amount of money, the amount of effort they put into it. Like No Man's Sky, for instance, did the same thing, and to an extent, Starfield might pull this off in like a year where it vastly changes it. Like, do you remember Fallout 3? Fallout 3's ending was not great when it first started.
No, I remember being pissed off at that because you can have two followers that can deal with radiation no problem. And I remember they even programmed me in the game because I was like, the mutant. It's just like I need to go in there.
Strong, he says.
Take care of that. And they're like, no, it is your destiny. I'm like, if I go in there, I'm gonna die. I'd rather not die. So just walk in there because you're immune to radiation and turn the fucking thing off.
Yeah, I remember. I was when I played the game, I was able to do that.
And honestly, that reminds me, the biggest issue I think for me, step backwards, where Starfield is the lack of companion commands. Like, you can't have them hack or unlock anything.
Oh, what?
They don't.
What's the point? What's the point of fucking companions then?
They shoot stuff, they hold stuff, and if they're on your ship, they can boost your ship's stats.
They're a mule.
Company. There's someone to talk to.
So that is the point, because I want to play this game, but like Jim was just saying, and what I feel with Cyberpunk, like, I don't feel like I missed out on Cyberpunk 1.0. Like, I'm happy just having played 2.0. Like, I don't want to have like preconceived notions. I don't want to be like, oh man, this fucking sucked, right? So I'll just wait. I have plenty of other games to play.
There's many of games that
Diablo for you
pulled this off too. Don't forget, Diablo 3 pulled off a massive change. Yeah. The games do is
right, and I never went back to Diablo 3 because I was just so disgusted with it.
Games do deserve this award. So it's like we're talking about adding this in for a game of the year.
Sure.
I think we can come to a consensus one instead. I think, but we'll see.
You don't expect one every year though, but
it might be
these days, maybe.
No. I guess. I would suggest, for if you're really on the fence, if you're really annoyed with like the certain things in Fallout 4, then wait till at least the first expansion.
Right, that's what I did for Cyberpunk. So I
mean, that's exactly yes. Everyone who's now getting into Cyberpunk is going to get the best version of that game, and who knows? Everybody who gets into Starfield a year or 2 years from now is going to have the best version of that game.
Yep.
But for me, I'll probably just play it throughout because there's a lot, and as much as there's issues, I still just I'm going to put so much time in it and continue to. So whatever.
And Churro just chimed in. Churro, thanks for joining us, by the way. An ongoing game award is specifically for live service. A DLC award. We don't usually, when we do our games of the year, like we usually talk about like that year, unless. I mean, it's tough unless it's like a re-release. Sometimes we allow that in the games of the year. This is more about, like I said, live service. But it's not really live service. This is like, Cyberpunk's not a live service game. It is a game that they stuck with it award.
Technically, it is because it has gotten
I guess
updates.
You're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. But. I think back to Diablo 3. I think back to Cyberpunk's No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy 14. Even like I'm just like going back. Fortnite is another example. Fortnite was a completely different game when it first launched. Completely different game.
I mean, Battle Royale is just an added-on feature.
So, I think back to those kind of games where like this category does work more than you think, and it's just like it's unbelievable. Yeah. You don't until you like bring it up, but I do think it's something that, as a consensus, as a group, we probably can come up with one to give that award to, as together as a group, not individually. So that's what I'm thinking of. But all right, cool. Let's discuss some news here. Not much going on this week except for some removals and some removals. We have removals of staff and we have removals of games. But so unfortunately, we've heard a couple news. Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, as we just mentioned, is laying off a whopping 16% of employees, around 900 people. This according to Bloomberg.
It's confirmed. It's confirmed now.
It's confirmed now. This was last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This was.
Yeah.
This was right after we podcasted, essentially. It's now confirmed 900 employees were laid off. In fact, I think this was broken up because I remember that. Last week I watched somebody post the fact that his wife got laid off and then he was home with her that following day, and they forgot to lay him off.
Yeah, they forgot to lay him off.
The same exact time. Yeah, so they had to call him and lay him off as well. So they both got fired. And, so there were so many people let go that they botched some of the releases, and it's not great. I mean, it's horrible, and it goes back the same thing with Last of Us Studio, Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is cutting developers, which is a little different. Dozens of contractors, only about 25 it looks like contractors, but all based on their multiplayer game, which is never getting taken off. It looks like that's getting, shut down at this point, but it's not officially shut down. This is another aspect of union side of things where maybe it makes more sense to have benefits waiting for people to get laid off in an industry that happens a lot, right?
Right. Well, I mean, like the thing is, we can make an example with the ongoing, like the strikes that just finished and are ongoing. Where,
yes. Yeah.
Where the game industry needs to have that moment now, right? Where, again, I've said this the last time we talked about it a couple of years ago with whoever. Well, I forget the studio in question, but every time we have these companies lay off a large amount of employees, what's going to happen is, yeah, sure, a lot of them are going to land on their feet somewhere else in the game industry, right? That's a given. But a lot of them are just going to be like, yeah, I just worked, the past 5 years of my life on one title, spent, 50 to 60 hours, maybe 70, crunching
a week
on bullshit, not getting paid, commensurately for overtime and stuff like that. When I could just get a nice cushy, job somewhere else, getting paid way better, and not having to worry
quality
about
of life, man.
Quality of life, right? Because that's what it is. Every time they're about to ship a game or just get done shipping a game, people are nervous. They're worried, like, oh shit, am I needed anyway? Is my role needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially
and you also have
how many
that
times
just hire out contractors,
right? Like Microsoft. I was just about to say that. Like Microsoft, if you're getting hired at you have an 18-month expiration date, right? So you got to be planning at the 13th, 14th month, like, oh, where's my contract going to go next and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we have all these people that are passionate. That, let's be honest, most people that get into games do not do it for the money. I would argue that most people that get into games is because they love making games and love what they want, what they do, right? So every time these happen, these mass layoffs happen, we're going to lose more and more developers, and it's hurting us in the long term, right? You look at like Ubisoft. Yeah. Ubisoft was one of the big companies, and I mean they were on their high in the 360 days, right? With all the different properties, and now it's been reduced to what? Assassin's Creed, pretty much. Like we just reported on the cancellation of that Immortal sequel. Mm-hmm. What else are they coming out with? Like they came out with Mario Rabbids, which is fine, which is collaboration with Nintendo.
Just Dance.
Right, Just Dance. Like that's it, right? And then you look at fucking like Activision. What does Activision do besides fucking Call of Duty these days, right? Like they'll throw us a bone every now and then with like a Tony Hawk thing or Crash Bandicoot, right, or Spyro, whatever. Yeah. But it's like they're not actively making those new games, so it's just like it's just getting sadder and sadder. Because
I get it.
We need these lead roles, especially like I remember when we were waiting for the Rocksteady game to come out, right? Because it's been a decade since Arkham Knight, right? And I said, because they had they had like 3 lead positions open for like years, and it's like that is a bad sign when you need a lead and you don't have anybody to fill that position. Like you cannot get these games finished.
Because it's so risky.
Absolutely,
put out a new IP. Like,
absolutely,
look at 100%. Forspoken, like new IP bombs. Like everybody there is loses their job. Yeah. Studio closes. So it's like if you want to make something new and different, you are basically putting your studio, your job on the line if it fails, and the majority of these are failing.
Yeah,
and so it's just so much safer for people to be like, oh well, this is already established, let's just make another one.
Right, and a perfect example of that is the guy that was headed up that studio that made the Dead Space adjacent game,
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah. He left that studio. And layoffs there because that game bombed, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, games are just getting riskier, and it's not a good time. Like if you're gonna be like, I'm gonna get a job in the game industry, it's like you should really, really think about that because it's just not good.
Well, that's no what I'm security. Saying. Like, this is why the protections need to be put in place.
Well, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They need unions. They need to unionize.
There are certain areas that do 100% need this, and that's where they exist, and that's what that's for. So yes, this is where it needs it definitely. I mean, you see too many layoffs in this industry for that, and that's where this protection is for. So yes, like, there may be people against unions. I get it. However, the reason they exist is there's a good reason they exist for certain things.
Right.
And this would be it.
Right. And you just see if when Microsoft gets Activision Blizzard, because it's more than likely now, King.
It's happening. There's
going to be mass layoffs there again too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just going to be super sad. It's going to be super sad.
I know. And yet the gamers are like, oh,
yeah,
but they're not thinking about the ramifications of people's lives.
They're not,
whatever.
And look at Embracer Group, right? They
yes,
their eyes were bigger than their stomach or their wallet in this case.
Yeah,
they bought all these studios for like 2-3. And we talked about that. We're like, how the fuck are they getting this money, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that's why Gearbox is up for sale. Cause like, what are they like? What do we do with this company?
Yeah, it's like
we just bought them for like $2 billion, and now here you go.
Yep.
It's like, Borderlands 4 is not soon enough. So
yeah. Again, like put those. You gotta get those established brands out, otherwise.
That's it. It seems like if you have an established brand, you have to make that game, and then if you have enough people on the side, you can do something you want to do, but you have to make that.
Well, and that's why like the indie scene is where you get all the innovation.
Yes.
So.
Yep. So, I mean, the other thing we have on the news this week is Jim Ryan retiring from Sony's SIE.
Fucking riddance.
Yeah.
Good fucking riddance. I hope the door hits him on the way out, because fuck that guy.
Jim Ryan retiring March 2024.
This is the guy that was like, looked at PS1, PS2 games, is like, who would want to fucking play these things these days?
Who wants to play old games? I remember him saying that. Yes.
So you're just spitting on your own legacy. Okay.
Literally said, who wants to play old games? That's what he said.
And they still wound up coming out with the PlayStation Mini anyway. So it's like...
Right. Well, they copy, of course.
Yeah.
Like, success. We could do this too,
and that's the thing that bugs me the most. And like, oh god, I could rant on this all day. But like, the fact that Microsoft just literally hands Sony and PlayStation the generator, it's like they don't even have to fight back. They literally don't. Like, I'm not saying I want Microsoft to like be winning or anything like that, but like have it closer to 50-50 than like the 80-20 split or whatever it is right now, 70-30 maybe.
It's pretty far.
Pretty far because like Sony goes, they don't give a fuck.
I think 80-20 is pretty accurate.
Probably, yeah. Where it's just like, they don't even need to try, and they get greedy. Like, the whole PlayStation Plus thing, like, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous right now. But they can do it because they're winning, and they don't give a fuck. They're like, well, don't play online then, I guess. It's like, all right, I guess I won't. Like,
yeah. No, it's bad, and Jim Ryan, maybe we'll get some new ideas. I don't know who did they say who's announcing who's coming in his place? I think they probably did, right?
They did.
That.
I don't give a fuck, though.
There's a whole Bloomberg article on like why people are cheering for Jim Ryan's departure.
No, he just spit on the legacy of PlayStation. He was probably part of the.
He just said a bunch of things that weren't true as well.
Yeah, he just made up bullshit.
Nobody plays games in the Middle East. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. Before PlayStation, Middle Eastern people didn't know what video games were. It's like, that is quite the statement to make without knowing what you're talking about. There's a political controversy too. He's just a mess, and he's responsible for closing down the Japanese Sony studio, so that's why we don't get any Japanese first party games anymore.
Yeah.
So. Oh, and he's quitting just because he was tired of making the flight from Europe to America.
Oh, it's tough.
It's
life.
A tough job, tough life. I'm sure on his executive first class, private jet.
Need to work.
Yeah.
So, all right, fuck you, Jim Ryan.
Lastly, Knights of the Old Republic remake, which I personally have been super excited for. The trailer has been made private, and a lot of the stuff has been previous tweets and posts about the game have been deleted.
Yeah, this game's canceled.
So they announced that the reason this happened is, yes, you're probably right. The reason this happened is due to expired music licenses. What they won't answer is why they let the music licenses expire. So it sounds like this is canceled, this game.
Well,
which I was extremely excited for.
It was funny watching this news break because I think it was somebody had noticed PlayStation took it down, right? Or whatever.
Yes.
And so they emailed Sony and they're like, yo, what's up with this? And Sony's like, hey, we were told to because of whatever. Go talk to Disney and LucasArts or whatever like that. It's like, oh yeah, the music license expired. It's like, that's your job. Like you are supposed to renew that. Like, so do your job.
Why did you let it expire?
Right. Yes. Do your job. So that's unfortunate.
They had an immediate comment on why it was delisted, but then not a follow-up comment as to why they let it expire. So that's
like, oh, this is an error. We're sorry about that. No apologies. Like, this is the statement of truth.
Yeah, this is it. That's all you're getting from us.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it sounds like it's been canceled, and that sucks. It does.
It's done before. Yeah, it's too bad. But you can still play the game, obviously, the original. But
it's so dated. Like I'm like, I would love a remaster. This is a game
I feel bad for people who haven't played this, who haven't experienced this game, because this game is amazing.
It's one of the greats.
It's Baldur's Gate 3 of its time, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. It's what brought in like Mass Effect exists because of this game.
Oh, absolutely. 1 million%.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yep. So
it was how I was going to play it first. I haven't played the game yet.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, this was it. I mean, honestly, like the game is pretty dated nowadays, the old one, and it's like I get it. I was so excited for the remaster because I would have played it to death, and I would have recommended it for people who haven't yet. So maybe another studio picks it up. I don't know, but we'll. I did read that. Not Star Wars side of things, but Marvel side of things. Disney is really supposed to this year, by the end of this year, give us a lot more news. They're going to be very proactive. Apparently, this has been rumored, but this is from my normal people I follow from rumors that have been.
I don't believe this one.
Pretty accurate. You don't believe this one?
I don't believe this one because they're known for movie details. Because I get they know somebody there.
Yeah, Disney apparently wants to increase their presence in the gaming industry.
But we know that. We know that. They've said this before.
I mean,
that Spider-Man was the first.
Impactfully too.
Right, but Spider-Man was supposed to be that first initiative. It was the best-selling superhero game, right? And since then, they've had a DLC standalone game for that. If Avengers was a good game, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, but it wasn't. No, and it's unfortunate that Guardians of the Galaxy
that's gone now too this week.
Guardians was so good too. It was a great game.
And Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought was a great game, barring some bugs, but that died because of Avengers Sins, right? Because like nobody is like, oh, Square Enix also made a Guardians game. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. But Midnight Suns was great. It just commercially it was a hard sell, right? Because it's a card game RPG. It's like what? Like I'm all for that, but like that is a hard sell for a.
You had to play it to try it. You had to try it, and unfortunately, getting people to try it was the hard part.
But last year, Marvel Snap was the iOS mobile game of the year, to my knowledge, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was absolutely
multiple
raved about it.
Right, and we're on the cusp of Spider-Man 2's launch, so that's why like this news coming out at this time, I'm just like, what are you fucking talking about, dude?
Well, I mean, they're talking about like Black Panther and
we
Iron
know
Man
about
specifically,
that. And we know Wolverine is coming out.
But not that one. They mentioned those two games specifically that they're throwing more money at to make it more impactful.
Because it's not being made by Insomniac. It's like, they're like, oh, Insomniac's only made the good games.
Yeah. So,
I will say the of the recent Marvel games, the Insomniac ones are the only ones that feel AAA budgeted.
Yeah,
really.
So I think that's what the comment was about. But the comment's more about the fact that Black Panther and Iron Man are supposed to be more of that AAA level. They
spent as much money, or not more, on Avengers.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And if you, like you said, like unfortunately, Avengers will never be sold again.
Nope.
So if you got it, you got it. If not, you don't.
I didn't get it because I'm never gonna play it.
I was like, I don't think it's even worth the $4.
I forgot, and then I didn't care that much.
Like, I got Titanfall 2 for $3. I already played and finished Titanfall 2, but I've never played it since I bought it for $3. So, you know what I mean? Like, I bought it because I'm like, I got it, but I'm like, Avengers, I'm like,
there's been some rumors of Titanfall stuff fairly recently too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's got a new update to it.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have on the slate for Marvel, we have obviously Spider-Man now, Wolverine game, and that Captain America Black Panther game, and an Iron Man game.
Iron Man game is what they were talking about. Yeah,
they're supposed to be. We already know about
throwing money at it is what they're trying to do. See if it can make it better.
Right, but I mean, we knew this for a couple of years now. So I'm just saying it's weird that like this person, because it wasn't even my time to shine. It was like somebody she requoted or retweeted or whatever.
Well,
the fuck they
it
call
was
now.
the Can We Have Toast, I believe, and
Yeah,
that person, whoever posting there, has been pretty accurate.
Yeah, but they were like citing all the bombs, and it's like okay, but it's easy to cite that. Like, I'm sure, yeah, some Marvel executives like, hey, Avengers bombed and Guardians bombed. We don't want that to happen anymore. Like, no shit. Like, I don't need the insider to tell you that, Jim.
I get you there. Yes, I got you there. But you're right. You're right. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully they're great games, and hopefully they're big budgeted and they look great.
You know
we'll
what?
See.
I mean, Marvel, if you really fucking cared, hire Capcom to do Marvel vs. Capcom 4 and don't get in the way. Time. Don't get in the way this time.
Don't make them do something that you like. The gemstone, the Power Stone shit.
I'd love to see Ultimate Alliance 4 too. So
yeah.
That'd be awesome too.
I don't remember how well that did commercially.
What?
Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance 3.
I mean, both of the first two games.
Yeah, and I would like to see that on a PlayStation 5 or Xbox or PC.
Multi-plat would help that game massively. To make 4 that multi-platform.
But the first two games are multi-platform.
Yeah, I get you, but they would make it. I feel like having Ultimate 3 would have been better. It would have been better.
But Ultimate Alliance 3 already outsold
totally
the first both of those games.
And it would have sold even more on multi-platform.
But Nintendo help make that game possible?
Nintendo funded it.
Yeah, no, I know why it was.
This is the Bayonetta situation all over again.
I understand why it exists. I'm telling you that, like, it would have been amazing to have it on multi-plat. But, so hopefully 4 is that way, and with Destructive, the.
I still want to know why we haven't seen it. Like, it was popular enough to make another one.
I think so too. You're right.
I mean, I don't think you can make that argument. Like, again, you go back to Bayonetta. Bayonetta was on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. It sold okay, and nobody wanted to fund the second one at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Nintendo's like, we'll do it. And it outsold.
Yeah, I get
Bayonetta
why it was done. Like, I get why it was done. It's like why Sony's doing like they.
But no, I'm giving you the example of that doesn't always equate.
Yeah. It doesn't always, but I feel like it mostly does, percentage-wise.
I know. I'm giving you an example of
yeah, I understand. And I told you, I understand what you're saying. Right. I get it. I'm telling you.
Your argument, Jim, would be Street Fighter 5. You could be like
Street Fighter 5
would have been way better.
Sure,
if it was
absolutely.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Like all of these games. There's I can go through a lot of examples
for sure.
that would be better. Because Tomb Raider was a great game. It just wrong. It should never have been exclusive.
Yeah, but that eventually came multi-platform.
Yes, that hurt it though. It hurt it. Like
no, I know. I'm just saying, eventually did. Marvel versus they're Marvel, like Avengers, whatever. Ultimate Alliance was not, and neither was Bayonetta.
We'll see what happens. But hopefully get an Ultimate Alliance.
Hopefully,
either way.
If
it's Switch 2 exclusive, cool with me. I just hope we get it.
No, either way, I hope we get it because 3, while not the best in all aspects, there's enough of a good groundwork that they could build off of to make the sequel even better. So, and like I said, Marvel vs. Capcom 4 because fuck Infinite. That was such a piece of shit.
I agree. And I agree on that. That was like a forced. That was a forced game,
not 5. Then
it was a forced game for marketing, and like don't do that.
Just call 4.
Let them. Yeah, call 4.
Just call 4.
Yep.
Get that stink out of people's mouth.
Retcon that. Retcon it out.
Retcon it. Yep. So all right. Don't call it. Infinite was a marketing game. That's all it was. So, all right. That's going to wrap up this episode, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we're live on Twitch Tuesday night starting at 8 o'clock. Please join us live. If you missed these episodes, though, go on to YouTube. Our stuff's over there, all of it. Subscribe. Leave us comments. We'll see you guys next week. We are out.
Yeah, I mean,